Okay, I want to here we go. Okay, trying to share. Okay, I want to talk about total toxic burden today. This is Tom Salt, a medical doctor and functional medicine practitioner. And what we're seeing here is the summary section of a total toxic burden from Vibrant America or Vibrant Wellness Laboratory. Now, it's not critical that it be this lab, but this is just an example. Now, in the summary, we see a list of all of the high results. And high in this instance means that you are seeing greater than the 95th percentile. So, in other words, for each of these toxins, this patient, which is demo, this patient is carrying more of this toxin than 95% of the population. And then you'll see these icons up here. So the little factory means that it is an environmental toxin or persistent organic pollutant. The little gears mean it's a metal. The little biohazard symbols mean that it's a mycotoxin. So this person happens to have 4 high toxins, and then suboptimal means it's above the 75th percentile here. And this person has 4 of these as well. And then what I usually do is I say TTB, and I go, I put a 4/4, which means 4 high and 4 suboptimal. And then I would say for POP, because it's easier to write than environmental chemical, I would say 1/1. And for metals, I would say 1/1. And for mycotoxins, I would say 2/2. So that's the summary. And then we come down in each test, the mycotoxins test, the heavy metal test, and the persistent organic pollutants test or environmental toxin test is shown. So here's the summary for the mycotoxins. These are mold toxins. Now, each toxin in the summary has a little blurb behind it. So it tells you some background about the toxin, an associated risk for the toxin, possible sources, and in this case, this is often from contaminated plants such as peanuts, corn, or rice, and from animal products. So why would that be? Because the animal products eat these things. There is a difference between the way plants are handled if they're going to become human consumption or livestock consumption. And livestock consumption grains are the ones that are most likely to be mold contaminated. So it's actually quite common to have a person who, say, is on a grain-free, a paleo-style diet or something like that, and they still have these mycotoxins. And why is that? Well, because they're getting it from meat and dairy. So again, here's another mycotoxin and all of the associated pieces that are important. And it does this for every mycotoxin that was elevated above the 75th percentile or greater. So it tells you something about them. And then it shows us the entire list of mycotoxins. So these are the aflatoxins. Here are all the aflatoxins. They measure the other mycotoxins, bunch of those, and then triclosan mycotoxins. Then it will go on to the heavy metals test. So urine heavy metals, and it'll tell us the summary. Every metal that is above the 75th percentile will be in this list. In this case, we have lead, and it talks about possible sources, associated risks, and detoxification suggestions. Arsenic, same thing. And if there were more, they would be there. And then the entire list of metals. So everything from aluminum, antimony, arsenic, down to gadolinium, lead, mercury, cadmium was up above, uranium, all the way through. And then the persistent organic pollutants. And this is, the summary is a little different with this one. So with this summary, they measure a bunch of different kinds of pollutants. So these are phenols. So this person happened to be positive for BPA or bisphenol A. Now, we're mostly familiar with BPA because it's labeled as BPA-free in water bottles and baby bottles and things like that. But almost all plastic otherwise has BPA in it, including food wrappers and packaging. So it's ubiquitous. Also, everything you touch has BPA in it, whether it's DVD or CD, even if those even exist anymore, sporting equipment, and so on. Associated risks in terms of this particular one being an endocrine disruptor, and glyphosate, which is Roundup, all of the associated risks, detox suggestions. And then the next area, mitochondrial markers, didn't find any. Other markers, didn't find any. Parabens, didn't find any. Pesticides, didn't find any. Phthalates, didn't find any. Volatile organic compounds, and then that's the end of the test. But we show then the entire list. So this particular person had this one phenol, had glyphosate, but then the mitochondrial marker was normal. These other markers were normal. And if they were abnormal, they would have been in the list above, and it would have told you something about them. Parabens, all normal in this case. Parabens, you'll have to read about them, but they're also found ubiquitously in our environment. Pesticides, so DDA is a derivative of DDT. It's a metabolite of DDT. DDT hasn't been used in the United States since 1974. So presumably this is coming in on imported food. Some of these things are organophosphate metabolites. Organophosphates were developed during World War II to be nerve gas agents. So they're neurotoxins. And we commonly see these. Phthalates are found in cosmetics and pesticide, or they're preservatives for things. Volatile organic compounds are ubiquitous in our environment. This person has, like, this demo has fewer toxins than any patient of mine, by the way. It's common for my patients to have 5 or more high and 10 or more moderate toxins. So these volatile organic compounds, and then that's the end of the test. So when I'm looking at this, I don't really look at toxins in isolation. I look at the total toxic burden. Now, another thing you can do is you can take this test and just think about it in a global way. This person has, if we go all the way back up to the top again, and we scroll down to the summary, this person has an industrial toxin or environmental toxin, a metal, and 2 mycotoxins, and then another industrial toxin, another metal, and 2 more mycotoxins. So there's a broad inability to effectively detoxify. So this person would need broad detoxification support. And I would be looking strongly for sources of mycotoxins. So we talked about foodborne mycotoxins. There's also wet building or water damaged building mycotoxins. So I'd probably be ordering an ERMI on this patient. That's a test that measures the mold counts in an indoor environment. And I would be creating strategies for detoxifying all of this stuff, because basically these are generally dysregulating physiology. And the more we can clean out these toxins, the more the physiology will work better. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing here, and hopefully I'll find this to end the stream. All right, have a good night.